Then track Scrum projects, Scrum events and their value to measuring progress. Scrums have several recurring events that help manage iterations and provide process control. Each of these can help provide meaningful metrics and data to the team and management. Sprint planning, a meeting at the start of the sprint where high level stories descriptions are broken down into detailed tasks provides a detailed estimate for the scope of work that can be produced during the sprint. Then आपका daily scrum, our daily stand up meeting in which team members share progress and problems they are facing, provides reporting about hours remaining for sprint tasks, which helps generate the sprint burndown meeting metric. Then sprint retrospective, a summary meeting at the end of the sprint to share what went well, what went less well, and ideas for improvement, provide qualitative information that can help assess the health of the Scrum team and the process. Then, what are the Scrum metrics and KPIs? Scrum metrics and KPIs are part of the broader family of Agile KPIs. Agile metrics include lean metrics, which focus on the flow of value from an organization to its customer, and Kanban metrics, which focus on workflow and getting tasks done. While most agile metrics are applicable to Scrum teams, Scrum specific metrics focus on predictable software delivery, making sure Scrum teams deliver maximum value to customers with every iteration. Scrum KPIs have three major goals: to measure the deliverables, to measure the effectiveness, to measure the Scrum team. To measure deliverables of the Scrum team and understand how much value is being delivered to customers. Then, to measure effectiveness of the Scrum team, its contribution to the business in terms of ROI, time to market, etc. Then to measure the Scrum team itself in order to gauge its health and catch problems like team turnover, attrition, and dissatisfied developers. Then Scrum metrics, any measure deliverables. The following metrics can help measure the work done by Scrum teams and value delivered to customers. Sprint goal success. A sprint goal is an operational part of the Scrum framework as defined by Scrum organization. It answers three questions. Why are they carrying out the sprint? How do we reach the sprint goal? What metric tell us the goal has been met? For example, a goal might be delivering a feature, addressing a risk, or testing an assumption. By defining a sprint goal and then measuring how many sprints met the goal, you can get a qualitative assessment of a Scrum team's work, not just how many story points are completed, but how frequently the objective of the business are met. तो इसमें क्या है कि क्या बोलते हैं, स्प्रिंट गोल सक्सेस जो है, स्प्रिंट गोल सक्सेस मतलब कि हम लोगों ने कितने स्प्रिंट्स को हम लोगों ने प्लान किया और कितने स्प्रिंट्स को हम लोग कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं, ठीक है। यानी कि उसकी सक्सेस सक्सेस क्राइटेरिया क्या है, उसका जो है सक्सेस परसेंटेज क्या है, ठीक है। ये स्प्रिंट गोल सक्सेस को प्रेजेंट करता है। सबसे पहले सिलेक्ट अ स्प्रिंट गोल, देन रन द स्प्रिंट, देन प्रोडक्ट इंक्रीमेंट, देन वैलिडेट इफ द गोल हैव बीन मेट। तो कितने गोल को हमने मीट किया वो हमारा क्या है, स्प्रिंट गोल सक्सेस है। Then escape defects and defect density. Escape defect is a crucial metric that shows How many bugs were experienced by users in production? Ideally, a Scrum team should fully test stories and completely avoid escape defects. In reality, this rarely happens, but the trend of escape defect is a good signal of product quality. escape defects के थ्रू हम लोग क्या चेक करते हैं कि कितने बग्स जो हैं, हम यूजर्स के द्वारा कितने बग्स हैं, ठीक है, और कितने बग्स बाकी रह गए हैं, ठीक है, देन कितने बग्स, कितने डिफेक्ट स्केप हो गए, कितने डिफेक्ट्स जो हैं अवेलेबल हैं, ठीक है, कितने डिफेक्ट्स पे हमने कितने डिफेक्ट्स को हमने रिमूव किया है, टेस्ट किया है, टेस्टिंग में शो हुए हैं, और कितने डिफेक्ट्स टेस्टिंग में भी डिटेक्ट नहीं हो पाए हैं, ठीक है। देन डिफेक्ट डेंसिटी is also worth watching. It measures number of defects per software size, for example, per lines of code. While this metric can easily be skipped, it is valuable in fast-moving projects to check if growth in defects is normal given the growth of the underlying code base. Then team velocity. Velocity measures how many user stories were completed by the team. On average, in previous sprints, it assists in estimating how much work the team is able to accomplish in future sprint. तो टीम वेलोसिटी क्या है? टीम वेलोसिटी के थ्रू हम लोग मेजर करते हैं कि कितनी यूजर स्टोरीज पर टीम ने काम किया, कितनी यूजर स्टोरीज को कंप्लीट किया टीम ने, ठीक है, कितनी यूजर स्टोरीज मतलब प्रीवियस स्प्रिंट्स में कितनी यूजर स्टोरीज पे काम किया, ठीक है, फ्यूचर स्प्रिंट्स में कितनी यूजर स्टोरीज को मतलब अकम्प्लिश कर रहा है टीम, कितनी यूजर स्टोरीज पे फ्यूचर स्प्रिंट्स में कितनी यूजर स्टोरीज को अकम्प्लिश करेगा, ठीक है। देन स्प्रिंट बर्न डाउन। स्प्रिंट बर्न डाउन के थ्रू हम लोग प्रोग्रेस को ट्रैक करते हैं। द स्प्रिंट बर्न डाउन चार्ट इज द क्लासिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ प्रोग्रेस within a sprint. It shows the number of hours remaining to complete the stories planned for the current sprint for each day during the sprint. The sprint burndown shows at a glance whether the team is on schedule to complete the sprint scope or not. तो स्प्रिंट बर्न डाउन के थ्रू हम लोग क्या करते हैं, उसकी प्रोग्रेस को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं। हम लोग देखते हैं कि कितने आवर्स रह गए हैं उस स्टोरीज को कंप्लीट करने में, लोग कितना टाइम और कितना ड्यूरेशन और चाहिए उस स्टोरी को कंप्लीट करने में, ठीक है। और हमारा जो हमारा वो था, मतलब एक्चुअल जो ड्यूरेशन था, जिसमें आइडियल जो टाइम था जिसमें हमारा स्टोरी कंप्लीट होना चाहिए, वो क्या है, और हमारा जो मतलब रिजल्टेंट हमारा क्या है। तो इस तरीके से हम बर्न डाउन वेलोसिटी चेक करते हैं। स्प्रिंट बर्न डाउन, इसमें वर्क रिमेनिंग डिवाइडेड बाय स्प्रिंट, वर्क रिमेनिंग आवर्स डिवाइडेड बाय स्प्रिंट डेज, ठीक है। तो ये बर्न डाउन वेलोसिटी को रिप्रेजेंट करता है। फिर आपका बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस टू मैनेज स्क्रम। इन स्क्रम, अचीविंग ऑप्टिमल वेलोसिटी मीन द स्क्रम टीम्स quickly and consistently delivers working increments of value to the customer. A high velocity Scrum team that can perform reliably, predictably, and on pace is in demand for project after project. Define requirements just in time to keep product features as relevant as possible. Test and incorporate product owner feedback daily. Sprint reviews with the stakeholders need to be regular. स्क्रम को मैनेज करने के लिए जो बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, ठीक है, मतलब क्या है कि ऑप्टिमल वेलोसिटी को अचीव करना, यानी कि मतलब वर्किंग इंक्रीमेंट कॉन्टिन्यूसली हमें डिलीवर करना है कस्टमर को, ठीक है। जो हाई वेलोसिटी स्क्रम टीम है वो क्या करती है कि मतलब प्रोजेक्ट वो क्या करेगी, वो रिलायबल एंड प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी को परफॉर्म कर सकती है, यानी कि जो हाई वेलोसिटी स्क्रम टीम है वो आपके प्रोडक्ट की डिलीवरी को फास्ट कर सकती है, ठीक है। मतलब एक प्रोजेक्ट के बाद दूसरा प्रोजेक्ट जल्दी से जल्दी उसको डिलीवर कर सकती है। Define requirement just in time to keep product features as relevant as possible. Test and incorporate product owner feedback daily. Sprint reviews with the stakeholders need to be regular. The Scrum team needs to be use the sprint retrospective to improve how they work, conduct face-to-face conversation to reduce miscommunication, trust the teams to do the best job possible, allow the teams to self-organize around pupils' skills, work styles, and personalities. Don't burn out the team members. Respect the balance between their personal and professional life to ease stress. Then promote peer to peer collaboration. Mutual respect among peers is core value in Scrum, and transparency is pillar of the process. Using a project collaboration platform can promote collaboration and conversation among the Scrum team and stakeholders, no matter where they are located. Product owner, as the voice of the customer and product stakeholders, the product owner conveys their needs to the Scrum team, maintains the product backlog, and sets priorities based on each item's value to the customer. The product owner is responsible for ensuring the team accomplishes its goal. For full transparency, it's critical to keep all parties in the loop on both progress and impediments, such as how changing requirements can affect the outcome. Then, development team. The development team is the tight knit group of multi talented individuals who are ultimately responsible for development of the product. It is up to each team member to understand what the customer wants and how each task contributes to delivery of working product. The development team needs to stay in synchronization by communicating with each other, giving and receiving feedback, and being adaptable. Then Scrum Master, as the development team's judo coach, the Scrum Master promotes Scrum principles, facilitates adaptive problem solving, and helps team members learn how to work quickly without compromising on quality. The Scrum Master understands the full product backlog and can let team members know what needs to be done at any given time to keep work moving forward. The Scrum Master also shields the development team from distractions, addresses issues that block progress, and resolves conflicts. Then continually improve performance in Scrum events. Scrum events are forums for Scrum best practices, starting with sticking to schedules. Each event happens for a purpose and a set time. Adding meetings introduces time wasting events and overrides Scrum's built in efficiencies. Lengthening or shortening sanction events disrupts the rhythm of the stream's work, setting up the pattern of practices that can lead to burnout, low velocity, or poor quality. Lean, agile software with powerful reporting and analytics keep stakeholders informed while offering insights into delivery trends for improved productivity. A lean, agile application with configurable tools can improve agile delivery within the Scrum framework. These tools not only automate tasks but also use analytics and team metrics to monitor and predict progress. Then sprint planning. When the Scrum team sit, sits down for this time box meeting, they have 4 hours or less to decide how much of the product backlog they can complete in this sprint. Estimates are based on the story points or increments of time to finish user story tasks. The trick here is to agree on what the development teams can realistically accomplish. Once there is consensus, the sprint goal is set. The increment must be doable, have value, and function independently or in conjunction with any previous increments completed to date. Sprint iteration, the sprint can be time boxed at 1 to 4 weeks, but once set the schedule cannot be changed. Adding days or subtracting user stories rewards poor skills such as overambitious estimating or writing ambiguous user stories. The intent is for Scrum teams to work as fast as possible without sacrificing the quality, like the quick break from a rugby huddle. The Scrum, where Scrum got its name, the sprint is dash toward the goal. Teams use a burndown chart to track daily progress, plotting tasks planned to complete versus tasks completed. The odds of achieving the sprint goal improve when the team collaborates, problem solves, and quickly adapts to change. Then daily scrum occur daily stand up. This time box meeting lets everyone know what's happening, meet at the same time, and place everyone within the time limit to stay focused. Everyone stand up, give excuses. Each team members answers the same three questions. What have I accomplished in the last daily scrum? What am I going to accomplish before the next daily scrum? What is impeding my work or blocking progress? Then sprint review. On the last day of the sprint, the Scrum team demos for finished backlog items to the stakeholder. This high level show and tell lets the team and the user stories, then show how the items they have completed fill the user requirements. Some stories are accepted as done, but some are unfinished tales that are returned to the backlog. Talk about what the development team can accomplish in the next iteration. Be open about lessons learned to date and what improvements can be made in the upcoming sprint. Then sprint retrospective. No matter what burn down or velocity the Scrum team achieves, where there are always mistakes to learn from and improvement to be made. This debriefing is only effective if every team member commits to continuous improvement. Ask hard questions like why tasks are not completed, how blocks could have been handled, or what is affected team velocity. If Scrum best practices are not in place to improve delivery, how is the time to add them to the team's wheels house? Then create transparent Scrum artifacts for inspection and adaptation. Based on an empirical approach that calls for transparency, inspection, and adaptation, Scrum produces artifacts that can be verified by everyone on the team. Knowing that the team is working toward and why builds trust among all participants. Making artifacts accessible on a cloud based platform sets the standard for transparency throughout the project. Product backlog. The product backlog is the single source of information about everything that needs to be done to develop the product. It is also a constantly changing list of requirements. The Scrum team estimates the effort for each item, stakeholders assign their value, and the product owner prioritizes them. When the customer, stakeholders, and the Scrum team create the product backlog together, everyone understands the rationale. The team sees the customer's vision, and the customer gets insight into the effort it will take it make that vision are reality. Then sprint backlog. This is the increment of the product backlog that the development team agrees it can finish in one sprint. If the team estimates the effort, mm, mm, the sprint backlog, this is the increment of the product backlog that the development team agrees it can finish in one sprint. The team estimates the effort accurately. They can deliver a valuable part of the product that can be used right away. The sprint backlog is comprised of short, simple user stories, each with a clear breakdown of tasks. Once the sprint backlog is set, don't change it. Then, user story. A user story is a simplified description of a product feature or function. User stories are added to and deleted from the product backlog as the requirements change. Writing a good user story, what the feature is, how it works, and why the user wants it, ensures the final product meets user needs. Everyone on the Scrum team should write user stories. The development team creates the task list that break down how to develop each user story. Then increment. An increment is the sum of all product backlog items completed during the sprint plus the cumulative value of all previously completed increments. Upon inspection, an increment that is deemed to be done can be released to the customer if testing and quality assurance have been integrated into the development cycle and quality issues should be resolved by now. Any remaining bugs get bumped to the next sprint for fixes. Then definition of done. Participate in writing the definition of done during the sprint planning event so that the team has a shared understanding of what works need to be completed for this increment of the project. The definition of done also applies measures of quality so that it is not a subjective value. Equally important, the definition of done creates transparency, getting everyone on the same page about what to expect.